Hello, everyone, and welcome to another TrueFire Live broadcast. We've been looking forward to this one for quite a while. Features so many of our, favorite artists to work with. We're going to start. We're doing this great promotion with our friends at PRS. It's called the Road Trip. And we happen to share three artists, David Grissom, Congilio, and Tony McManus. And PRS has put together this incredible prize pool. You could find that on the Open Road landing page. It'll be running all month. And the highlight, the main feature, this is what we've been waiting for, is to get to spend some time and hear some of our favorite players do their thing. We're kicking off the show with David Grissom, who, as you probably well know, out of Austin, he's toured, recorded, or written with Buddy Guy, Mellencamp, Joe Ellie, Storyville, the Allman Brothers Band, the Dixie Chicks, Chris Isaac, Robin Ford, John Mayall, one of my favorites, and even Ringo Starr. He just released a new record. I think it's his, you'll tell us about it, David, but your fifth solo album, Trio Live 2020, tours with his trio. And I think they recorded that live over 3 nights at the Saxon Pub. That's what my notes say anyway. Included in Guitar Player Magazine's list of 50 badass blues solos. And without further ado, let's say hey to David Grissom.
Hey, man, what's up?
You're up, man. What's going on over there?
Man, I'm just sequestered here in my cave here in Austin.
I know. Well, your cave looks pretty cool to me.
Yeah, you know? It's a kind of a gear cave. It's my home studio that a little, I call it economy with dignity. I got like 7-foot ceilings, a couple of garage bays built out, but I get really good sounds in here. And this is kind of where I've been for the last 2 months. I mean, it's been a kind of an awesome twist of fate, as hard as it is. I see that video in the opening and I'm like, oh my, I'm so wistful for wanting to do that. That's kind of what I live for with my band, really be able to stretch out. But at the same time, I've got all this, a lot of work has come in and, studios aren't open now. And like last week, I did a whole track for a major label band with drums, bass, everything. And I've got this huge library of drum performances, real drummer playing real drums sounds awesome, really well recorded. And I put together an entire track, sent the tracks off to Nashville to some badass mixer, and it's going on a major label record. I did a track for Damian Marley last week. I've been doing stuff for some people in New Zealand. I mean, it's kind of the brand new world, and being able to do good sounding tracks at home has been a lifesaver for me.
Yeah, we were talking just before the show of we've been trying to get you back into the studio, but your schedule has been crazed, and as this kind of work from home mode kicked in, I always ask the artists we work with, so what are you doing with all your time, right? I'm amazed at how productive artists are at home, either writing music, composing music, recording music like you're doing. It's going to be really interesting, and practicing. A lot of working, touring musicians are playing every night. So you get to work on new stuff. Are you doing some of that as well?
I am. It's odd I'm like as busy as I've ever been, but it's different. It's in a different way, and also having put out a new record 2 weeks ago, and there's no retail. They can't ship any CDs to CD Baby or ship overseas right now. Mm-hmm. So I literally am, on the physical copies, signing them, putting them in the envelope, putting the stamps on. My wife goes to the post office twice a day to get them out. And then, updating all the social media stuff and dealing with the cancellations that are coming in, that it's, we're all just finding our way through this, but I've talked to several other people that are able to work, that have generated some work at home and are making really good use of the time to, like I'm learning a different software program to record with, just because I've been meaning to do it for 5 years.
Which one are you learning?
Well, I'm learning the one everybody uses, which is called Pro Tools. I've been stuck in Digital Performer for 10 years now,
Yeah.
which is great. And, I think I don't know, there's sonically it's that different, except I work for a producer who is tired of making stems for me, where you get a stereo mix of drums and bass.
Yep.
And so he says, I'll help you. So I'm learning that language, and there are a lot of opportunities, man. I just don't want to waste the time. I want to make it count. And, it is what it is. Don't watch the news. Don't read the paper too much. Just make lemonade.
Exactly. Well, it does sound like you're making good use of your time. We're, really excited about this kind of promotion we're doing with PRS. They're, clearly we've worked many times with them, and one of our favorite companies in the space. They make, are arguably one of the best instruments in the market, and they've somehow managed to do that, like from the very beginning. Usually we save the gear segment for the end, but I thought maybe what you could do is just, tell us a little bit about your PRS, and then let's play some music for the rest of the time we have together. How does that sound?
All right. Well, I've been playing PRS since 1985, the first year they were a public company. So do the math on that. And that's a long time. So the guitar I'm playing today is my signature model. It's called the DGT, which stands for David Grissom Tremolo. It's based on just the evolution of my work with Paul and experience playing these guitars in the studio and on the road. And it's just a long list of tweaks that we've made over the year that add up to this guitar. And I think it's kind of safe to say that this is probably the most vintage inspired instrument that PRS has in their lineup. I have a lot of really great vintage guitars. There are limitations that I've found in certain vintage guitars. So I'm trying to, what I love this guitar for is that I can get those sounds, but have a modern instrument that I'm not worried about. First of all, it can be replaced. And second, it's the tuning stability and the intonation up and down the neck. The tremolo is the best tremolo I've found. It just ergonomically, the way the knobs are set out. The pickups, I worked with a guy here in Austin for 2 years developing these pickups. So it's really, I have, like I was telling a friend of mine the other day, a couple days ago, I was doing a solo for a record, and I was determined to use some vintage stuff. And I went through like 5 vintage guitars, a couple of old Marshalls. And at the end of the day, I went back to this guitar and then this amp here. And it was like, there it is, so.
What amp is that? This
is my signature amp. They're going to have a room for me there next to the bathroom, I think. It's called the DG Custom 30, and it's a 30-watt amp. Doug Sewell, their amp designer, and I kind of envisioned, came up with a concept for what we were trying to do, and we spent about 2 years working on it, and it's proved to be a really, really great tool, and I use it 90% of the time, 95% of the time, maybe.
So, earlier this month we're doing like Brian Ewald from, PRS is doing 3. We're giving away. In fact, Seth, can you show that on the screen, the landing page for Road Trip, to show the 3 PRS things we're doing?
There it is.
And so you can see there, scroll down to the prize pool. So we're calling this, PRS and TrueFire Presents Road Trip 2020. And we're giving away an electric, an acoustic, and an amp. And so Brian did a gear demo. He's extremely knowledgeable. I asked him this question. I'm going to ask you the same question. My first PRS I bought in 91. It was like the first artist series, I believe they called it. And we have several in the studio. What do you think? How were they able to manage producing these kind of like custom feeling boutique quality instruments, you know, as they've grown over the years. You know, it's not uncommon for a company to kind of start, you know, cookie cuttering, you know, the guitar sound. What do you think their secret ingredient is to maintaining that quality?
It's Paul. It's Paul Reed Smith. I mean, he has it's the relentless pursuit of tone, you know, that I call it. He's brilliant and he's never satisfied. So I would say, in a word, it's Paul. But at the same time, there's a lot of people there that have been there for a long time. They have a lot of really innovative ways of making sure that the guitars are consistent. I go to do clinics and I don't take a guitar with me. I just take, you know, whatever DGT is in stock in the store. I have no qualms about doing that. But it's Paul. Paul is he's really, really passionate. He's a great guitar player too. So he combines this inquisitiveness with a very sharp scientific mind, with also being a really great musician.
You know, that's exactly what Brian said. It's actually the answer I get from a lot of people. It's Paul, and it's the team, you know, that have been there for a long time. Okay, get ready to play a tune. I'm going to do a little housekeeping first. I want to encourage everyone to check in. If you check in to this live broadcast, you're going to be entered in a drawing for a $100 gift card. Seth, why don't you show the page where they can check in? It's the landing page.
Yeah, it's TrueFire.com/live, and then you go to this event.
Yeah.
Right there. He's pulling it up.
And actually, there's a lot happening on that page. You check in, number one, do that. Number two, you will see an incredible library of courses that we've collaborated on with Corey, David Grissom, and Tony McManus, who'll be coming on third tonight. But check in there. There's also a tip jar, okay? And if you are able, please click and tip. It's very helpful. And also underneath the YouTube video, you'll see a thumbs up. Give that a click, and it's a great way to show our appreciation to the artists for spending the time and preparing, their presentations. It's a great way to spread the love. And also underneath the video live stream, you'll see links to PRS, to David's sites, to his courses, and Ali will be posting in the chat thread some other links from David, talking more about gear and a lot of the cool things he's got going on. And let us know where you're tuned in from. We love to shout out all around the world, so let us know that. And without further ado, David, what are you going to play?
I'm going to play, I've got the actual track from a song called Skimming the Surface, the track from my third record that I kind of took everything off except the bass drums and rhythm guitars, but it is it's J.J. Johnson on drums and Chris Marsh on bass. And it's sort of it's a song that I wrote after sort of exploring this concept of playing open strings, employing open strings with licks way up the neck. And if you're following along, it's based on a B minor 11th chord. So I'm sort of think B Dorian, and that's where I'm going. But I'm gonna also do some stacked chords in there too. And I may try to overemphasize some of these concepts. So if you have questions when I'm done, know that I'm not really trying to necessarily make this fluid solo. I want to just talk about some of these techniques and hopefully help you guys.
Awesome.
Maybe think about things a little different. So
great,
if
man.
Good to go. Here it goes.
Nice, man. Well, apparently you're keeping your chops up there in the cave.
Oh God, it's not the same, but I'm trying.
No, I know. What did you want to show us something extracted from that performance?
Well, I could do an entire course on that song, to be frank, but in the nutshell, something I talk about in both of my courses, I think, is the idea of using open strings in ways we don't normally think of. At least I didn't think of initially. And, for me personally, the use of open strings was I always thought of doing it down on the lower part of the neck. And, whether it was, listening to Blue Jean Blues, that was, also in B. Where I'm picking a note below and then using my middle finger to use the B string as a drone. And then the train kept, I heard Jeff Beck play on Train Kept Rolling, or actually the original version, in G. And, we all, in E, we all, So it just, after a while, the way I practice now is not quite the way I used to practice. I tend to try to play my way into new ideas, new songs, new riffs. And that's how this song came about, was just, a couple of hours, and all of a sudden I land on something different. So in that particular case, I'm playing over B. The main chord is a B minor 11. That's the 11. Functions as a Dorian in the Dorian, which, by the way, is also an A major scale starting on B. And so I know that in that scale on the guitar, all the open strings are in that scale except for the G string. So I can use the any string open at any point in the song or any point on the neck, except I got to watch out for the G string. So in the past, as I said, I would be thinking down here. But what I'm doing on this song is I'm up here. So I'm playing licks up here, but it's all, I got to know where B Dorian is to be able to do this. And as long as I stay away from the G string, it almost becomes a rhythm instrument, if in a way. I'm not really, I can think melodically, but I also can think rhythmically, knowing that all these notes are good. And so what you get is these juxtapositions, these intervallic leaps that you would not get. And the beauty of guitar is when you play an open string, it sounds different. It's not like a piano where it's everything has almost the same timbre up and down the fingerboard. And I think I try to exploit the nature of the instrument, especially with the open strings. So again, if I know that, for instance, let's just take the lower three strings. I know all these are good. They're good. They're legal in B Dorian. I know that I can play any one of those strings open at any time. So down here, I can start down there as a way of sort of getting familiar with this concept. And then I can move up to this position where I'm playing, I don't know what technically that's called, but with the B as the root here. And again, not staying on the lower three strings, I can with a combination of pull-offs and hammer-ons, I can do that. And so the second chord in the song, or in the solo section, is an E7, which is the same scale with starting on a different note. It's E mixolydian. As we know, B minor 7 leads to E7, back to A major 7. So the scales in all those chords are the same. They just start on a different note. So I don't really have to think too much, especially in a minor bluesy thing like this. I don't have to think changing scales, and which is kind of a good thing for a guy like me. So the main riff is, again, I'm going to try to slow it down, and we could spend a long time breaking it apart, but here it is up to speed and slowed down. So that last, instead of going, I'm going. So I'm popping the string with my middle finger, and you get those sounds as well. It's not just a picking or a legato hammer-on thing. You're combining this first lick. All I'm doing is striking the open D string. Normally I'm going to do it with my middle finger, but just so you can see it. And then I'm pulling off. Pretty cool.
Very cool.
It's a sound that you can, now I was like, I'm addicted to this sound. And then when I go to the fourth chord, which is E7, start out exactly the same way.
Mhm.
The open D string, pull off. So in this case, even though I'm thinking B Dorian, also for me visually, the way my brain works is I see E7 here. I see. And that's another way. To me, I try to really simplify my thoughts about the way I approach scales. And I think if we do another course, I really want, I've got some new ways of sort of articulating the scales that I use and the way I think about the blues, the approach to blues scales. And even like on this, which is, it really is essentially a blues with some modified changes, but it's also kind of a James kind of cool mash up with this James Brown groove and everything else. I'm still thinking the same way in this simplified way of thinking about scales. And
well, we're ready for that next course whenever you are. You know, you have an open invitation here, and you know you do talk about open strings amongst a lot of other topics. Seth, can you show Open Road? Open Road Guitar was the first project we collaborated on together. And man, you cover double stops, triads, pedal steel bends, picking techniques, hybrid picking. In fact, the whole first half of the course are kind of your signature approaches, technically speaking and harmonically speaking. And then there are some killer performance studies that put all of those techniques and approaches, to work over, you always have the, just great backing tracks. So that was our first one, Open Road Guitar. And then we did Open Road Blues. See if you can show that one, Seth. And, what you're suggesting sounds like, a great third project to dig into. And hopefully you'll squeeze a little time in your schedule to come hang with us in St. Petersburg. We can do coffee. We'll go have another steak. How's that sound?
we do have the coffee thing going, man.
We do.
We do. We bonded quickly on the coffee and food.
No doubt.
Yeah.
While you're getting ready, setting up the next backing track, you've got a lot of fans live tuned in here,
Cool.
Including some of your fellow artists, Andy Aladort,
Hi,
Jeff
Andy.
Mackerlane, James Hogan, Corey Congilio are all shouting out saying hey to you, as are many of your fans from around the world. Tommy, can you do a quick geo, please, while David's getting set up?
Of course. Yeah, we've got, folks, lots of Lone Star State representation here, David. We got Dallas, Austin, Fort Worth. We got Scotland. We got Huntsville, Alabama, San Diego, Lille, France. I definitely butchered that. I apologize. Sandwich Island, Calgary, Kentucky, Norway, Virginia, Stuttgart, Germany, Green Bay, Netherlands, Tampa, Chester, Maryland, Bermuda, Belgium, New Orleans, Chicago, Frankfurt, Germany, Denver, Marseille, Ontario, Canada, Denton, Texas, Mexico, Wilmette, Illinois, Leesburg, Georgia, Paris. Man, the list just goes on and on. Northern California, San Marco, Texas, Denmark, Wisconsin, Las Vegas. I think we covered the list. There's a couple coming in from Facebook too.
Let's see. Mexico just chimed in. Indiana, Boston, Romania, Barcelona, awesome. Spain. Awesome. You've been to Barcelona, right, David?
I have to be honest. I've never been to Spain.
Oh,
I've been to Italy like 40 times, and Germany and France and Norway, and I want to go to Spain so bad, and Portugal.
It's beautiful. Moscow, Russia, just shouted out. Nice. Silicon Valley, Sweden. You've got fans all around the world. And I want to thank all of you guys for also tuning in and supporting the cause here and supporting the artists. And the best way that you can do that, in addition to just being here with us, is there's a thumbs up underneath the video. Just click that. That's a great way to show your love and appreciation. We have a check-in. There's links underneath the video where you can check in for a shot at $100 gift card and pick up all of David's courses, which I highly recommend. There's links to PRS, links to all of David's courses, and I believe Ali has posted a bunch of other of David's links, including a really killer YouTube video and a lot of his social media stuff. And you got to get over to his webpage and just get connected in his network. I mean, I told you before, you like the Kevin Bacon. That's it's meant as a compliment, first of all. But the point is that everybody that we talk to, there's a connection to you. They're talking about you. They just played with you. They just did a project with you. It's just phenomenal, man. Okay, enough talk. Play something else.
All right. I'm going to do, this is my new live record here from the Saxon Pub in Austin. I did a version of Crosscut Saw, the Albert King.
Yes.
Actually, it's public domain. I didn't know that.
Is it really?
Been around
Public
forever.
domain?
Well, yeah, Albert's version is copyrighted. So a lot of people think his version is copyrighted. And
Okay.
so I have kind of a different take on it that is sort of, I don't know. I just wanted to do something different with it. So I'm going to take a track that's on I think it's my TrueFire Blues, the Open Road Blues. And I'm going to play the track, the one that has no rhythm guitar. And I'm going to start out, I'm going to just kind of play through the chords with a certain kind of delay, like a dotted eighth delay, which Albert would never do. And also maybe I'll try to focus on using some suspended chords and superimposing some triads over, for instance, on the one chord, the flat 7 and the 4 triad, and then on the 4 chord, the flat 3 and the 4 and the flat 7 triads, just to give you an idea about how you can really kind of jumpstart and spice up your playing with some really simple concepts. So this is, it's in A. It's in A.
That was
So.
nice, man. So teach us a little something there. And by the way, if you have any questions for David, we'll try to squeeze him in before his set is over. But give us a little tip on that. I love that version. Have you copywritten that one?
No.
Why not?
I don't think no. I mean, it's kind of the part of the blues canon. I mean, if you go play with anybody anywhere, you call Crosscut Saw, they know exactly what you're talking about. So
exactly. So show us a little something from there.
Okay, so what I am doing, what the sort of the two takeaways for me on that I'd like to share are just the use of sus chords and triads. As chords sort of slammed out over the chords as in a solo way, and what I mean by that is it's sort of a Pete Townsend-y way of. So I just listen when I play over the one chord. I'm just on A right here. So that's what I'm doing there is the song is in A, essentially it's an A mixolydian blues. It's a major blues, but it's not a major 7 chord. So I'm thinking basically mixolydian mode and blues scale together. So in that mode, the triads that are available over the one chord that I think use a lot are the flat 7 chord, which is the flat 7 makes the A major scale a mixolydian. So the flat 7 is a G triad, and the 4 is the D triad. So if I can intersperse those triads over A, and so if I up the neck, it's like there's A, 4 is D, flat 7 is G, 1, 4, flat 7. Keep it going up. 1, 4, flat 7. 1, 4, flat 7. So right there on strings 2, 3, and 4, I'll use those shapes to play off of when I'm playing licks as well. I know that those chords, I can just keep the A bass and play G or D. Like that's a D add 9. I like to add the 9 in. G again. A. G add 9, D. All those work over that A and create interest. So that's sort of the nickel tour, the chordal concept. When I go to the 4 chord, I'll substitute the flat 3, which brings in the flat 3 that makes the 4 chord a 4 chord. So on solos, I'll use these triads as like kind of a springboard for licks. That G triad I use. So for instance, you could like this lick. Just let's just go to the middle part. It's just to play a G triad, G, B, D. And the way I'm playing it, you don't have to do it this way. It's like I'm picking the first 2 notes with a downstroke and then pulling up with my middle finger. So striking that E and sliding up to the A. And if you want to have, and often I'll lead into it with in that case, you can just slide in and not necessarily fret the note. So that's using the G triad. You can come up here and use the D triad and do the same thing. You just have to change. You don't have to, I mean, it's this exact same shape, but it will give you a lot of interest over just those, instead of just thinking, hey, you got, and then in the same form, like this G triad, A triad. I mean, it's endless. It's endless. What, you know, I can work off of this G. It just sets me up for all these different things. It's kind of, you know, I think I listened to Larry Carlton on some of his work with the Crusaders when I was in high school, and he would do that kind of stuff a lot, and that kind of got etched into my brain. And so that's about as quick as I can go through that.
Well, that's cool. But, you know, I think you've all witnessed that, you know, you're not only, you know, just an awesome cat all around and a great player with a very unique musicality, but you're really a great teacher. I remember when you came in, you did that first course, you weren't sure, you know, I mean, you really get concepts across in a very, very accessible way. I want to show your 2 courses one more time. Seth, just show the landing pages. We have Open Road Blues was the second one. Open Road Guitar, the first one. You have links to all of these. You really want to pick up on these. The backing tracks are killer. The performance studies and solos and rhythm work, killer. But the real gem of these courses is David's ability to be able to communicate, you know, some pretty sophisticated ideas in a very accessible way, and you can put them to work immediately. In fact, in chat, we have another TrueFire artist tuned in, David Henriksen, who says that your Open Road Guitar was the first course he bought when he came to the States. We have time for a couple of quick questions. Cool?
Oh, yeah. I love
ready? So question number 1, what strings engage, strings you're using?
Diodario 11 to 49.
How many times have you been asked that question?
Well, it's important, you know, and
It is.
it's okay. It's all right. I'm like firmly, I've been a Diodario guy for like 30 years, and you know, I never have an issue. They're great strings.
No, we all want to know. I asked that question a million times myself. Yeah. Another question, do you use from, I can't really pronounce the username, but he was wondering if you use a different amp rig for small shows versus large shows.
So my quick tip on that, I have several quick tips on picking the right amp. And first of all, so I'm going to go down the list. Never take an amp to a gig where you have to turn the master volume down to 3 or lower, because you will get no output stage involvement at all. So choose, you know, if a Pro Junior at whatever 8 watts or 10 watts, whatever it is, with a 110 or 112 in it, I'd rather crank that thing up than bring a 100-watt Marshall with a master volume and have to crank it way down. So I do, generally what I'll do is, it's a big difference between taking a 212 cabinet and a 112 cabinet. So if I just eliminate one speaker, I've really cut the volume down a lot. I'll put my pedal board case in front of the speaker cabinet. These are all things where it's not like you have to have 4 amps for different gigs. Mm-hmm. Really helpful things like that. So you just want to, and then you got to know that the most important trick in guitar playing, which is when the sound man yells at you to turn down, you go back and give him the fake turn down on the volume knob. You know, you're not touching the thing, but you do that, and then you come back and you play a little softer, and he says, "Is that better?" And they're like, "Yes, thank you very much." And I'm like,
yeah.
"No problem, anytime."
They've got to get their 2 cents in. That's awesome. Camilio wants to know what your recording chain is, but understands if you don't want to answer.
No. Man, anything goes. And that's the thing with my course is, like, I'm here to give away stuff. At this point in my life, I have no secrets. Anything you want to know, you can. I'll tell you. So right now, I'm going through the amp, the speakers in the other room, and I don't know what it sounds like coming through there. It sounds really good in here, but I use I've kind of gotten away from the 57 on the guitar amp that everybody uses, especially the 57 Royer combination. I'm using a Beyer M160 ribbon mic right now that's about 6 inches back from my Marshall cabinet. that I'm running this PRS amp through. And then I've got some old Siemens preamps, the first generation Class A pre's that they did after the V76. And then I just go into a Manley ELOP compressor that's not even, the needle's not really, I mean, it's not, it does not do anything. It's just kind of a little bit of a warm box. And that's it, really, most of the time. That's kind of all I do.
Very cool.
Nice.
How about, can you outline whatever it takes pre-chorus chords for Good Day for the Blues?
What are
the chords, the pre-chorus chords or the chorus chords for Good Day for the Blues? Apparently someone's working on that.
I don't know what the chorus is, but the song, first of all, you have to use a capo.
Okay.
You can't play the song correctly if you don't use a capo. It won't sound right. I see people doing it all the time, and I admire their gumption, So it's in C, but I'm playing out of a G position. So I'm assuming what they're talking about is the part that goes, whatever it takes, I'll do what I can do. That's if you're thinking in terms of without the capo, that's G over B, but it's C over E. It's 1/3.
Awesome, man.
What I can do to bridge this river to this to sus. I love his birthday. It's a good day. So that's probably what he's referring to. I think it's
perfect.
That gets confusing.
Thank you, man, for prepping for this and sharing music, advice, tips. We love you. I know your fans love you. I know your fellow artists love you. I know PRS loves you. And I also want to thank PRS for making, and I can be gratuitous here because, well, it's not gratuitous. It's sincere. I play PRS. I love PRS. It attracts some of the best players in the industry, and we get to work with you guys. So, win-win-win, right? Thank you. And please, please, when things get back to where at least we can travel, please squeeze in another session for us, and let's do that project you suggested. Cool.
I look forward to that very much, and thanks so much for having me on, and thanks for everybody that tuned in. I really appreciate it. It makes
awesome. Thanks, man.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Brad, you want to roll a quick Corey video to kick him off too?
Yep. If Corey's ready, I'm ready.
All right, let's go. Thanks, David. Again, we'll see you next time.
Thank you, David. Watching a pre-recorded video of Corey Congilio, but most of you, I have to assume, know that, man, we've been working with Corey for a long time now. He was just 9 years old or so when we started, but he has an amazing library of content, but his pedigree is a mile long. He resides in Nashville. He plays blues, rock, country, R&B, jazz. He records. He does sideman gigs. He's the most awesome teacher. He's played with David Lee Murphy, Lucia Silvis, Radney Foster, Cassidy Poe, Derek St. Holmes. Produced his first EP for a local country artist. Producer, songwriter, extraordinary musician, and just a killer human being. Corey, are you there? Can you hear me giving you all those accolades?
Yeah. I think they have to unmute me. Am I unmuted? There I am.
I can hear you.
Man.
Look at that.
I I shared a little background about you. I know you're just coming in from another live stream gig.
That's right.
Right?
Yep. I do my own every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
And it was going great. We have a lot of people that were in mine are here now watching David's stream, which was great. So it's like this amazing cross pollination. I saw a bunch of TrueFire artists. I did a Jeff McErlane's stream last week, and it's great because there's just so much cross pollinating of TrueFire and artists and everybody hanging.
It really is like this
community.
The situation is like, necessity is not only the mother of invention here, all these new things that we're doing.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm amazed at how creative artists are in this particular time period, but also the mother, of, acceleration. A lot of artists are now doing a lot more streaming, posting a lot more YouTube, kind of taking advantage of what the internet has to offer, but in a very, in a very awesome way. So we've done several of these live things together. Corey, how many TrueFire courses have we done?
I think it's 19.
19. Scroll
19
through
or
that,
20.
Seth, for us. I mean, crazy. We've touched on, I think the first one we did together was Texas Blues, right?
Yeah,
Right.
50 Texas Blues.
We've done everything. We've done, blues rock, Texas blues, the acoustic, the late, the crossover courses you're doing are just, number one with a bullet, as they say. You've also got a very happening YouTube page. We will get that link into the feed here. So very, very active, very prolific, musician and producer of killer content. Corey, we've been, instead of saving the gear thing for like the end, like we normally do, because this is a very special, kind of celebration of PRS and TrueFire working together. We worked together so many times.
Right.
Love them. Ton of PRS guitars in the studio, of course, and in my personal collection. Tell us a little bit about your PRSs.
So I have 4, and what I'm going to say first of all is, it's May and it's Nashville and it's starting to get hot. You're going to hear some outside noise because I have the windows open and a fan on. Because I come from that generation where you don't turn the AC on before June, kind of a thing. So just know that going forward. And I'm also monitoring some of my audio stuff here for you guys so that you are happy and pleased with the results. Look at that. There I am. I hope that's good for you guys.
That's good.
So what I'm holding this is a McCarty 594 soap bar model. A really cool instrument because it's got a lot of interesting history to it, because this was my first introduction to PRS when they reached out and they said, hey, we'd love to work with you. This is the one that they sent me, and I had no idea what it was or how much they cost or anything like that. And I was in New York with Jeff McErlane, actually, and he said, hey, is that the guitar they're sending you? I said, yeah. I was like, holy crap, like, that's a beautiful guitar. I did change the pickups out because these P90s can be noisy when you add gain, and these are noiseless Lindy Fralin P90s that are really, really nice. And this is a massive piece of mahogany, and it's got a really sort of thick mid-range. It barks a lot. And it still has single coil quality in the neck. And then, of course, the middle position is great too. Really, really nice. Let me make a couple of adjustments here while I'm talking to you guys. Sounds like the audio might be a smidge hot.
Jason Lachlan just chimed in to say hey to you.
Hey, Jason, how are you?
Just did live with him, I think yesterday or the day before. It's all a blur, as it is probably for most people today.
So we're just trying to dial in our audio here.
Okay.
My signal was a little hot. looks like it's better. Tommy's saying it's better. Maybe a hair more. Man, he drives a hard bargain, this Tommy.
Just a hair,
He
a
does.
hair more down if you can.
Oh, down.
Just a
Okay.
hair down.
He's a perfectionist. Now, David Grissom told us to keep the speed training down, but you don't.
Yeah, we'll try to do as best we can with that. Let me actually, while I'm with you guys, I can set up my own little thing here. The magic of knowing how to use all this crap, and you know, those people that are hanging out with me now that came from my my stream, they bear with me every week when it comes to audio and video stuff, because you just don't know nowadays, you know. So that sounds a little better on my end. How are you guys doing?
Definitely better, man. That's
Tommy, any better? We've
sounded good.
gotten any. I haven't gotten any confirmation, so we must be okay. How we looking, Tommy?
Yeah, we're sounding good, man. You hearing me?
Anyone?
Yep. Tommy, you
We
good
lose
with
all together?
everything?
Yeah, it sounds good to me. Is Corey able to hear me? Corey? No?
It's good. Okay. I'm not
All right.
hearing Brad though.
not
I know
hearing me?
why. Stand by.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Can you hear me okay,
I can
Corey?
hear you now.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm just
Better,
gonna
man.
have to work with what I got here. Maybe I'll.
All right.
Okay. Try talking to me now, Brad.
How about now? You
Yeah, I
hear me
got
all
you.
right?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's treat folks. You have some backing tracks you can play over with that PRS.
I am actually going to just play a song by my lonesome.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna sing, and I'm gonna put this in so that I can
Oh, nice.
myself a little bit. I am not, even though I've written a few guitar instrumentals in my life, I am not that guy. So I'm gonna play a couple tunes. One is from a recording, and one has not been recorded yet, but I'm working on it. And if you follow me at all, you know that I write the quirky, bluesy, relationship-based songs from time to time. So this one's called "She's Like the Weather." Somebody told me once, they said, a woman, she can be like the weather to you. When it's raining outside, you get a raincoat or an umbrella, or if it's snowing, you get a snow shovel. You just have to adapt with your partner. You can't make it do what you want to do. You have to adapt. So that's what this song's about. All right. Yeah, she's like a cold front passing through. Sometimes it feels like December in the middle of June. Yeah, and I swear my girl could make it snow in September. It's my woman. She's like the weather. Yeah, she can be a tornado, but somehow I miss the warning. Yeah, she can make it rain, yeah, on a perfect sunny morning. When she smiles, it's like springtime. Yeah, nothing could be better. It's my woman. She's like the weather, yeah. When my baby calls me and says we need weather.
Corey, you never cease to amaze me, man. I think that's
Awesome,
the first
man.
time we've been working together for God knows how long. And I always tell this story about you, how the first time we met, I thought you were an acoustic guitar player.
Yeah.
And a producer of singer-songwriters. You came to your you came to TrueFire to talk about what we would do together.
Right.
And Red invited you out to the Blues Jam, and you borrowed my Telly or my Strat.
Yeah.
And blew the roof off the house. And it's like, I called you next, and I said, I didn't know you played electric guitar in the blues. You gave me some videos, and boom, we did Texas blues and a ton of other courses. What? I have to read you this. Ron Peterson.
Oh yeah.
Hello to you. He answered before we could even answer how many courses. He said, 19 courses and a jam, and I own them all. you know?
Ron is a friend.
You've got so many fans, and your dream to work with. You've also got a channel. Can we show Corey's channel?
Yeah,
He's
of course.
Stuff to talk about.
Yeah, you've got the artist channel. Talk a little bit about that, what you're doing there. Talk about what you're doing on YouTube.
Sure.
And then I want you to talk about the acoustic crossover course too.
Okay, so the channel is something that we've been talking about doing for a while. It's a subscription-based channel, $10 a month, and there's a new video every week in there. And for a while, I struggled to think about what I could put in there that would be unique as opposed to courses and YouTube and things like that. And really, it's a lot of it's a great place to fill in the gaps where courses don't really hit on everything. Like there's little topics about maybe phrasing, not that that's a little topic, but topics that are hard to make courses out of. Phrasing, vibrato, technique issues. Sometimes I put those in courses, but it gets lost because somebody might not think that there's a technique lesson in a country rock course or something, So this is a place where I can put in licks, technique. I'm teaching how I learned scales, how I learned how to improvise, how I learned how to play everything from all 5 minor pentatonics up to you name it. We just keep adding it, So that's what I do once a week. Generally Monday or Tuesday, you see a new lesson in there. Generally, there's always tab or a track for each of them too, and it's not always something you'll find anywhere else. I do videos specifically for that channel. Sometimes there's some cross promotion between YouTube and the channel, but most of the time the assets are available in the channel and the video is unique to the channel as well.
And if you subscribe to the channel, and $10 a month is a bargain, as they say. It's a private community, unlike say a social media site. So there are other like-minded players in there. You can interact with them. You can upload your own videos, comment on other, upload files. You've done a great job with this. But also I want you to talk to, you're one of the, you're really smart marketing musician, and you have the channel, you have the course library with TrueFire. You do a lot of projects with a lot of other people, and you've got the YouTube channel. Can you talk to the importance today for a musician to kind of cross-pollinate and be seen on talk to that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I'm in an age where I identify with younger folks and older players, and I did not have my rise in my career like somebody like David Grissom might, who cut his teeth playing in Austin and toured with great bands and done a bunch of sessions and has, writing credits and all that stuff. I came the opposite way because I met you guys and I started teaching, and through the online education world, I started to gain somewhat of a following. So within recent years, I've started to say, how can I actually grow that, since that's my stage as opposed to a traditional stage, if you will. And there's a lot of ups and downs that come with it. And because, I don't know a guitar player out there that is interested in talking about algorithms, and stuff like that. I've gotten to be kind of into that because it kind of it's almost like, hey, You know, remember back in the day when there was this club that was 200 miles from that you heard all the hot bands are playing at and you wanted to get into? Well, that's the way that this kind of world is now. It's like I have people saying, how do I get involved with TrueFire? How can you help me grow my YouTube channel? How do I get my Patreon subscriptions up? It's like, well, do you want to have a call? Do you want to talk to me about this? What's your goal? What's your product? It's the same thing, but the stage is this now, and that's the difference. And it's a hard freaking pill to swallow when you wanted to, you know, when you looked up to the David Grissoms of the world, but your path is different, and you have to embrace that, and you have to use whatever tools you have to develop it.
Well, it's another Corey Congilio amazing moment for me was when we first met. You were living in Pittsburgh and you were producing and doing your thing out of there. And then you remember you calling us and saying, hey, I'm moving to Nashville, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, which is a daunting thing to do, to move into Nashville and to that musical community, right? And man, you achieved traction in like record time, right? Got all these great gigs, all these great recording sessions, and really had you know, and you still do have an opportunity to go down that artist road, right?
Yeah.
But you've kind of balanced your life in a way that allows you to do things that you love, that you have passion for, right?
Absolutely.
So that, you know, you can, you know, have a career, earn a good living, and get to do things with people that you love doing things with, right? Pretty amazing accomplishment.
And it is well, thank you. And it is like anything, it's like surfing. You know, you're riding different waves all the time. And I've ridden a bunch of them, and the one I'm on right now is one I enjoy a lot. And I would love to see some of the other more traditional work pick up, but this is the life that we're in right now, and I'm pretty set up to do it. You know, I got some nice gear. I have a nice studio. I finally own a house after 2 years that I call affectionately the house that TrueFire built.
That's so sweet, man.
Well, I mean, think about it. I'm a freaking guitar player, you know, and, you know, I bought a house, and, you know, when you're like self-employed, they're shaking you down for every last nickel or paperwork. You know, do you have a note from your mom saying that you made $5 in 8th grade? You know, like they want to know if you can afford it. So it's challenging, but I'm excited to be on a new stage, literally and figuratively.
Yeah, we just posted, well, we showed your YouTube site and your website, and posted a link to it real quickly. Like, what's the YouTube thing? How does that fit into the overall mix of the things that you do? And why is it important to be there?
I try to use YouTube as a way to, similarly to the TrueFire channel, where I can touch on different topics, but I think I'm a good communicator, which is why my courses have done so well. But I like talking about why this pedal is cool, or why this guitar is cool, and I want to make a demo on that, and I want that to reach out to people. And on a tangible level, it helps me in my relationships with the companies I work with, that I really enjoy and you know, honor those relationships. So there's that as well. And it's also, you know, I still have people say, I never heard of you. I never heard of TrueFire. Right. I heard of you from so-and-so through YouTube. Yep. So there's this constant thing. And I think of YouTube as like the fishing boat with the big net in the back that catches all the little fish. Like, not that any of my subscribers are any littler, smaller than any other. It's that they didn't know about me. And I might get this person from this country that can say, oh, wow, this guy's got 20 courses available. That's pretty cool.
19 in one jam.
19 in one jam. Thanks, Ron. And, you know, it's just a way to kind of open the marketing arm a little bit more, you know, and it's been great since January. So I actually I've almost doubled my subscribers since NAMM. So
awesome.
I'm about 1,900 away from 10,000. So that's a nice mark for me. Since
Killer. Hopefully you'll get some from this broadcast.
How
about playing another tune for us? And then I want to talk more about PRS, if that's okay with you.
Sure. I think kind of only, since I don't have like a lot of tracks, I only prepared 2 songs today.
That's okay.
That's okay.
We have plenty to talk about.
I thought I'd play, why don't I play this guitar?
Okay.
which happens to be my very own David Grissom signature model.
Nice.
What's funny is I saw Tony McManus post a picture on Instagram of his David Grissom PRS. Because so what's interesting is once I started working with them, they're really cool. They have this artist dinner and hang that they do in Nashville once a year. They obviously won't be doing it this year. Actually, maybe they did before. I can't remember when it is now. But I went there, and my friend Tyler Shirelli, he used to play in that massive band Florida Georgia Line, and big PRS fan for years. He was the one that got the ball rolling with me and them. And I said, all right, you have to pick one PRS. What's it going to be? And he goes, DGT. It's my favorite. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And he goes, because it's like a vintage guitar appointments, but with a PRS sort of, mojo attached to it. Killer neck. And I loved, I remember seeing those Mellencamp videos with David, years ago, and just like thinking that's a sexy guitar, And I stumbled upon this color called Champagne Gold Metallic. So it's not gold like this, it's a different kind of gold. It almost looks more like those old Ludwig drum sets, if you will. And I was talking to, so Jeff McErlane introduced me to David last year. We had dinner out at NAMM. It was great. Yeah. But when I was ordering this guitar, Jeff and I were talking, and he's like, you should check out the inlays that are the moons and not the birds. So the moons are just more of a circle type of inlay, but they have a little half moon shape in them, which is really cool. So I got custom color, the moon, and then the neck, I had them it's black on the back, not wood, but it does have the wood binding. And then I had it, it's not super glossy on the back. It is now because I played it all last year on tour. But it's a great instrument. I'm sure he's talked plenty about it since we've been doing this thing. But he's right, the tremolo is killer. But I'm like channeling him when I do it, Playing. And it's cool because what they did with the pickups, I can feel it. I don't know this is true. That low end is not there. That's real frumpy on some humbucker guitars. This is really tight. And he has the bridge position volume knob here because you're probably using that a lot and you want that accessible. And then the coil tap sounds really good too. So turn it up. And if I have to do a chicken picking thing, so I can get chicken picking with a trim and then push it back. But that neck pickup sounds really great too, super bluesy. Really cool guitar. I love it. Everybody, if you're into PRSs, you're into DGTs just by default because it's badass. And I realized I was adjusting the neck one day and I didn't put it back around. So I apologize, David. I'll put it back so we can properly advertise your name.
Let me ask you the question of the month. I'm asking, Brian, from everybody, I'm asking this one question. What is it, do you think, is the magic formula, the secret ingredient about PRS being able to maintain that kind of killer, kind of handcrafted boutique vibe that they had when they started and that they have to this day? What is it? What's their secret?
That is, I wish I could tell you, and they probably wish I couldn't tell you. I'll tell you this though, everyone that I've gotten has been flawless, fit and finish. There's not anything that I think could go by any inspection that would be deemed a B level or a flaw or anything like that. And I have 4 of them, and they're all really, really great. Excuse me. And when I was working with Rich at PRS, I was like, man, how do you guys do it? He was like, we're the best. What can I say? And it's, again, I don't know how the consistency is so good, but there's a lot of companies that are marrying old world techniques with new technology, which I think probably really helps. I haven't been to the factory yet. I was going to go next month, but that's not going to happen now.
Right,
I really want to design a guitar and meet Paul, and maybe have Paul's input as well. I have like a laundry list of details I want in my own design. But they also told me that they've been doing really well during the time that we're in, and that doesn't surprise me because of how they told me that people are confident in buying their guitars sight unseen because of how good of quality they are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They say this, that, a company with, it's all about the team, right?
Yeah.
And they are all, I've never met anyone that works at PRS that isn't passionate about what they do, and they put a lot of care into everything they do. And, I love my PRSs, and what you're saying is true. Never, ever had an issue.
Yeah.
And, I'm thrilled and really honored that we can, we've done several of these things, these little, I guess, promotional partnerships together. And, they're just great people to work with from top to bottom.
And it says a lot about the company that they, at the drop of a hat, will do something promotionally. We gave away a 594 during my In the Jam, I think, which was awesome. And they were just all about it, and that's how you reach out to your fans and to your players, and they'll always wave the flag for you. For sure. Hey, I just want to say that I noticed somebody said, for God's sake, why do I have 3 aux boxes? Well, I'll tell you, because I play all at the same time. No, a couple of reasons. For one, and I don't want to get it too off the mark here, but I'm the presenter for Universal Audio's aux box. I got you guys into them. Everybody that comes and plays it. So I use one primarily. I had one that I had on tour, and I have another one for when, I don't know, Keith Urban's guitar tech calls me and says, hey, Keith wants to check that aux box out. Can you bring it over? And I take it there, and they borrow it for a couple weeks. So, so UA hooks me up with a few that are kind of on permanent loan. So, different people can check them out. And I've, before all this was going down, my buddies in the Kenny Chesney band, I've gotten 2 of their players on one. The third player was about to sign on to an aux box, and then their tour got canceled. So one of these boxes went to them. And then a few weeks ago, I did a live stream where I played a bunch of parts that I did on a track for somebody with their new recording software. And I had 2 amps live with 2 auxes, stereo, amp plugins. It was bananas. So that's why I have as many, and they just look darn cool. So
we're excited about, we're going to be, doing some stuff with them, and we'd be lost without our aux, that's for sure. So play us a tune, man.
Yeah, all right. So I released this song a few years ago, and again, quirky, bluesy, relationship-based song. It's called "Do This Again." Pay attention to the lyrics. Laugh to yourselves if you want. If not tonight, then when? I wanna do just what we did last night again. I wanna laugh out loud, yeah, I wanna walk into this place with my head on proud. If not tonight, then when? Yeah, can you tell me when we'll do this again? See, I bought you food, and I bought you drinks. Yeah, I can tell what every guy in this room here thinks. Yeah, I can't believe all what you say. You're telling me no other man has ever treated you this way. If not tonight, then when? Yeah, can you tell me when we'll do this again? Well, you can say it's my own insecurity, but something tells me you're not too sure of me. I told you once, yeah, I told all my friends that I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna feel this way again. But now you call every day, 'cause you wanna know where I'm gonna be. every hour of the day. Yeah, but that's okay. See, you don't ask for much, just a couple of $100 a week to do your hair and such. If not tonight, oh then when? Yeah, can you tell me when we'll do this again? All right. Something tells me you're not too sure of me. I told you once, yeah, I told all my friends that I'm not sure if I'm ever gonna feel this way again. So we got hitched, and it was a blast, cause it was the best 6 months of my life that I've ever had. Yeah, you took me to court, yeah, and you took half. Oh yeah, but taking half from nothing really ain't that bad. If not tonight, oh then when? Can you tell me when we'll do this again? Can you tell me when we'll do this again? I'd like to know. Can you tell me when we'll do this again? Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
sweet,
man.
There you go.
I love that. Let me do some quick housekeeping here. You've got, ton of fans in the live chat feed chiming in from around the world. Tommy, can you give us another shout out to all our friends everywhere?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Corey, you've got folks all over the world right now. We've got people chiming in. Vancouver, North Carolina, Virginia, Spain, UK, Seattle, Topeka, Detroit, Umbria, Italy, Yorkshire, Austin, Sweden, Brooklyn, Toronto, all coming to check out the show. You sound great,
Thank
man.
you much.
Look great. And guys, just a real quick reminder, go ahead and hit that check-in link in the description for the check-in and the tip jar. If you hit that link and you check in, you're entered for a chance to win a $100 TrueFire gift card. So make sure you do that and hang out for the rest of the show. We're going to announce the winner at the end of the show. Brad, back to you, man.
Thank you, Tommy. And then we've got to give a tip of the hat to Tommy, Seth, Shane, Allie, Doug, Zach, all of whom are kind of behind the scenes here, making, setting up these things, prepping them and pulling them off. I have the easy part. I just get to hang with you for a little while. Underneath the video, by the way, there's that little thumbs up. It's really, a great way to show your appreciation for the artists, sharing their time with us and playing some music for us. And it helps to spread that love as well. There are links to all of Corey's courses, his channel, both underneath the video and in the chat feed. His YouTube site there. You definitely, if you haven't yet kind of connected the dots across Corey's TrueFire thing, his website, YouTube, and all his social media, now is definitely the time to do it. Corey, real quickly, talk about acoustic crossover, which are the, I love those courses, and they're doing incredible. So you tapped a little kind of gold mine there as far as we acoustic players, Talk about what you're doing with those courses. And Seth, show us the landing page.
Yeah, that was a concept that came to me from, you have your traditional acoustic players, and then you have the folks that maybe play in church, their worship band every Sunday. Maybe they have no aspirations of playing with a larger band, but still want to be proficient with regard to soloing, but aren't necessarily a bluegrasser, which is not me. I fake it from time to time. So, you think about it, you have, like at TrueFire in general, you have your your Tommies, your Joe Robinsons, people like that. You have your Brooks Robertsons, all those kinds of guys. Then you got your Stephen Mogen and folks like that who are really kicking butt on the bluegrass thing. And then you have all of your other folks sort of somewhere in the middle. But what about the player that plays electric guitar 75, 80% of the time, and then they pick up an acoustic and they got to play a solo, and this stuff doesn't work. You know, you need to learn more some bluegrass type licks or some stuff that's like, or little open licks or stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm doing in that course. Maybe you're playing in a situation where you're playing Eagles type songs or Jimmy Buffett type songs. And you'll know once you get an acoustic guitar in your hand, this doesn't always work to go.
Right.
It's a lot harder on that guitar. Right. So you have to come up with some different approaches. And that's what that course does.
Yeah, it's killer. You've got the single note line, some great little chordal moves. Yeah. It's a phenomenal course, man.
Thank you.
A couple of questions for you.
Yeah.
Vinny Roth wants to know if you've ever used JBE, Joe Barden pickups.
No, the only time I ever played them was when in the old, I think it was the Danny Gatton signature guitar, and I thought they were really cool. Super hot, They weren't really for me, but they're really good.
Manny Rios wants to know if you prefer humbuckers or P90s.
That's a good question. Too hard to say. If they're good humbuckers, like in these guitars, then I'll take them because I can make them respond more single coil-esque. A great humbucker should have some single coil qualities in my opinion, because they were made to just not be, not have hum way back in the day. So a low output humbucker I could live with forever.
Cool. And a question from Brad. Of the 19 courses plus in the Jam, do you have a personal favorite?
Let's see. Oddly enough, there's the Modern Country Essentials.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that. And that's picked up steam. A lot of people have gotten into that. It was kind of a dog early on, because I think a lot of people, they think of modern country, they think of, music that is like 80s pop radio.
Right.
They don't realize that the best guitar players in the world are making those records. And the, amount of effort that it takes to come up with those parts is really pretty miraculous. The tones, you have to create a solo in a 4-bar phrase that is memorable. And that's a whole other side of my brain that I had to kind of build up, because coming from a mostly improvisational background, that doesn't work so well down here when you're playing on 4 or 8 bars. You got to come up with something really cool. So you have to kind of see what's ahead, know the chord changes, and play something reminiscent of maybe the melody or something that somebody's going to really dig into.
Very cool. So I encourage everybody, just go check out those 19 courses and one in the Jam. I'm pretty darn sure you're going to find more than one that suits you. Dig in and enjoy. Corey's a great teacher, not just a great player, but a really, really good teacher. Corey, thank you, man. Thank you for, I know you're crazy busy. You're busier in this period of time than you normally are.
This is my second of 4 live streams this week.
Crazy. And I have to also thank PRS again for jumping on the road trip with us. And I said this with David, it's true, they make a great instrument that those instruments attract great artists and players. And we're thrilled to be working with you, David, and Tony, who's up next, by the way. I hope you can stick around and hear a little Celtic guitar from Tony. Have you ever met Tony?
I did years ago at a NAMM show. He's a bad dude, man.
He is crazy. So really see if you can hang a little. Meanwhile, thank you, man. Thank you so much. I'm sure we'll be talking really soon.
Of course.
And you probably have another live stream, in 10 minutes or something?
Tomorrow I'm with QSC on their their channel, their Facebook, and then on Sunday I'm doing the Jam in Place with Martin Guitar. So that'll be really fun too. So
Awesome.
look for those.
All right, man.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
it easy. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Corey. All right, Brad, should we roll a quick vid for Tony?
Yes, I can't wait to see Tony. I haven't seen Tony in, God, too long. I'll tell you that.
All right, we'll bring him up in just a sec, guys. Check this vid out.
Okay. All right, guys, we are closing our live broadcast today with Tony McManus, who if you haven't yet connected or heard his music or just kind of checked out an interaction with him, I'm guaranteeing you're going to fall in love with him. John Renborn calls him the best Celtic guitarist in the world, a guitar player. I have to ask you, Tony, about this one. It listed you as one of the 50 transcendental guitarists of all time. We've got to figure out exactly what that means. But you've been, you're really recognized as bridging Celtic music and making it very, contemporary, and I don't want to use the word modern, but but bridging it to other styles of music as well. So first, let's start with this transcendental thing. What the heck does that mean?
I never understood that.
It sounds cool, though.
It does. I sent a message to Stefan Grossman the day that article was published. He's in there too. And I said, of course, all these top 50 lists, they're all ridiculous and subjective and completely meaningless. Except when you're included, of course.
Exactly.
And I thought it was really funny because there I was in between Joni Mitchell and John McLaughlin, because it was done alphabetically. Wow. And I had this fond image of Joni's mum, Mrs. Anderson, in New Battleford, Saskatchewan, in with the guitar, Joan dear, and one day you might see yourself in a magazine with Tony McManus.
There you go.
Yeah, hey, I have no idea what transcendental means.
Well, it sounds very impressive. I'm certainly impressed. Where are you streaming from? Are you in Canada?
We're in Canada, in Elora, Ontario. I was in Australia when things went nuts. And I had to hightail it quickly back. I almost got stranded in Los Angeles on the way back from Melbourne. But I made it home the day before they closed the border.
Oh, man. That's a close call. And so you've been, locked down like the rest of us for a couple months now?
Yeah, right? Well, having been out of the country, we had to stay in the house for 2 weeks in isolation. So we did that, and things are very quiet here. And as it turned out, Australia is one of the safest places to be. Their numbers are much better than here.
Oh, well, and New Zealand, didn't I hear they completely wiped it off, totally clear,
Yeah, it's, well, there's lessons to be learned, I think, all around the world. But that's where we are. That's where I was.
Cool.
And we're here for the duration.
Yep, and I'm so impressed. You're kind of this digerati tech guy now, streaming from Canada. Have you had to learn all these new things to interact with the rest of the world?
No, well, Julia, who'll appear later, will tell you how hopeless I am. I never thought of myself as a Luddite. But I guess
Well,
I am
you
in a
may have
sense.
not have thought of yourself that way.
Yeah,
but
well-
perhaps some of your friends may have suggested such a thing.
Well, you know, when I was at university 1,000 years ago, I was studying mathematics, and all my contemporaries were doing computing science and physics. I was doing philosophy and politics. So I graduated in pure mathematics and had no idea how to operate a calculator, let alone a computer. But we're at the moment we're living online. We're teaching and streaming, and
and
very
it's
fortunate to be
it's a good
interacting with you
thing,
guys.
and this will live on beyond this, this thing we're going through.
It will.
I'm
Well,
going to
look-
change. I'm going to change our format. What I've been doing is talking about the PRS gear.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, together, we've made this event possible, and we've been looking forward to this all month.
Yeah.
But would you play us a tune first? I want to give everyone.
For sure.
I want to share. Like, I remember the moment I first heard you live, which was at a Chet Atkins convention.
in
Remember that?
Nashville.
In Nashville, and we were walking down the hall, and we heard this. This just the music just kind of, it's like magnetic, mesmerizing. So just play something for us.
I'll play a little blast of a Scottish bagpipe tune called the Sleeping Tune.
Cool. Killer, man.
Incredible.
I was going to say I can listen to you play all day long, and I do listen to you play
kind
all
man.
day long. I have your, everything you've recorded, and it's something about the music you make that really, I don't know, resonates with me somehow.
Well,
it's
I'm
probably a
very-
transcendental thing, okay? But now I get it. Tell us about two things. Your PRS guitar,
Yes, sir.
right? Were you one of the first artists on the acoustic instrument PRS?
I was artist number 2.
Okay.
What happened was Paul, as you know, is one of the most restless characters. He's never content to sit on his laurels. He determined that he wasn't going to be known as an electric guitar maker. He wanted the full kit and caboodle. He wanted to make basses. He wanted to make amps. He wanted to make acoustics. And with a guy called Steve Fisher, he prototyped a whole bunch of acoustics. And I was in Nashville. Again, there's another Nashville connection. And Ricky Skaggs, who I think I'd only met him once prior to this, he sent a message to the promoter of a concert I was doing in town, apologizing for not being able to come, and could I visit his studio the following day. So off I went to Ricky's studio, and he had a bunch of guitars, and we passed the guitars around, and he picked up this guitar and said, have play on that. And I played this guitar. I thought, whoa, what on earth is this? It was incredibly powerful, very rich, balanced sounding guitar, and no name on the headstock. I thought, what on earth is this? He said, that's a PRS acoustic. I thought, what? So that was my introduction. I think Ricky had 3 prototypes, and they were phenomenal instruments. And I had a gig in Memphis that day, and I drove off scratching my head thinking, why is he showing me these guitars? And Paul called me a couple of months later saying he had one to send to me. And it was phenomenal. What was interesting to me was that the guitar looked very, very plain. You know, as soon as this connection was made, I started researching. And, you know, I looked up David Grissom, and I looked up Carlos Santana and Mark Tremonti and all these people. And I looked at, you know, I had an image in my head of what PRS guitars were all about. They were very, very beautiful, but very functional instruments. And I opened the case expecting this incredibly beautiful acoustic guitar, and it was very plain, but it sounded phenomenal. You know, they weren't, this was a prototype. They weren't interested in how it looked. And it was beautiful quarter-sawn Brazilian rosewood. It sounded phenomenal. And the neck would have suited Carlos Santana maybe, but it was too thin for me. And we worked on getting the thing just right, and now they are. And it's my go-to machine.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. I mean, we've seen everything in our industry, you know, people expanding their product lines and, you know, moving off what their sweet spot is to, you know, but they've done it with acoustic guitars. Obviously, they've done it with electric. Then they did the acoustic thing, and I think a lot of people were like, "Oh, you know, I'm not sure this is going to make it." And it
I know, I remember it well. I went
and the amps now are incredible. I don't know if you do you play. Do they make an acoustic amp? Yeah.
Nope, but I have a 2-channel H in the little room there. I don't. It was interesting listening to David Grissom's advice for playing in small clubs. I don't think I've had the master volume of that machine up above a quarter, and the paint started to peel. But no, they haven't made an acoustic amp yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do. They're working on accessories right now. They're bringing out a capo, one of these, at some point quite soon. I was just really impressed by the level of dedication. That it wasn't just a big company with a lot of clout thinking we'll put out an acoustic guitar and our fans will buy them. They really went full hog. And the more I got to know Paul, the more impressed I was at how insane he is about detail and just the tiny aspects of getting these guitars right. And David and Corey can talk to that in the electric world. But I think my record was 6 a.m. I got a call from Paul. 6 in the morning, I got a call from Mr. Smith telling me that he had solved some problem. I can't even remember what it was. It was probably microns of the thickness of the finish on the bridge or something. A call at the absolute crack of dawn, and he was so excited that they'd solved this puzzle. And that's the way it's been for the last number of years. It's great. It's taken me on an incredible journey.
Yeah. So I've asked, you know, we're doing this big thing this month. Seth, can you show the Roadshow landing page and the prize pool? They gave us an acoustic guitar, an electric guitar, and an amp to give away this month. We're doing, you know, PRS and TrueFire presents this road trip thing, right?
There you go.
And you know, I've been, you know, it's PRS month. All we're talking about is PRS, right? And so I'm asking everyone that I talk to at PRS and all of the artists the same question. In your opinion, what do you think's the secret formula of them being able to create for so many years now, continue creating as they grow, you know, to a bigger company, and yet still have that boutique, really kind of almost handmade, you know, up close and personal feel? What's their secret?
What is the PRS secret? It's, if it were down to one thing, it would have to be one thing that covers a multitude, and it would be the attention to detail. That's it. Like this is the kind of fancy version of my signature model. But you know, I tour the bejesus out of this guitar. It's been all over the world in the last couple of years, and just the level of accuracy in the woodwork, the level of detail that's gone into every aspect of it. I mean, Paul would agonize for months over the weight of the machine heads.
I love that.
He would agonize over the quality of the bone saddles, the bone nuts, the bone saddles, the weight of the bridge pins, whether to use a pinless bridge or a pinned bridge.
Yeah.
You know, all of these questions were.
But I love that, and their team is, you know, that team has been together for a long time.
Yeah.
And they share his passion and enthusiasm, which I think is a big credit to Paul.
For sure. I mean,
I think
everyone I've met down there is the same.
I've said this, you know, in an earlier thing, but a couple weeks ago, he kind of like, you know, an analogy, and it's meant to be, you know, for me, a major compliment. He's like this, what Steve Jobs was to Apple. You know, that attention to detail, that pushing the boundaries, that making sure that every little thing is perfect. He is to the guitar world. And I know of no other person in this business like that. So we're just thrilled to be doing this thing with them, you know.
I remember talking to Howard Leese. I think it was the first time I was down in Maryland. We shared a ride from the airport. And I was talking to Howard about how intense and how really focused he is on getting these acoustic guitars just right before they were launched. And Howard said, look, I've known Paul for 30 odd years, and he's always the same. He always wants to make a better mousetrap. You know, however many moving parts there are, there's always going to be something that you can tweak. And he's always doing that.
Cool. Let's play a tune and dedicate it to him. How about that?
Okay. Is Julia in the other room? Should we play something together?
Julia, come on down.
Let's see if we can do that. Here's, this is the first signature guitar I got. And this was a very proud moment. The NAMM show back in 2011, I think it was. Let's do Rolling Waves. So these guitars were launched, and I remember standing next to Martin Simpson, who was the other signature artist at the time. They've since added Alex Lifeson, which was pretty cool. So there we were with these lovely guitars, standing in this press line with Carlos Santana and Dave Grissom and Howard Leese and Mark Tremonti and Orianthi, and God, we should be playing in the Nether Wallop Folk Club. I mean, here we are with the world's press. Fantastic experience. But a lovely little design touch. Paul decided that nobody knows me in the acoustic world, so they put, for the first lot anyway, they put my signature on the headstock, which was great. And
I love it.
My old mom used to say to me when I was a kid practicing, stick in, son, and one day you'll see your name in fossil mammoth ivory. And there it is.
There it is.
So we're going to play. We're going to play as soon as Julia's tuned. A couple of Irish tunes. We're talking Celtic music and modernizing it. You know, there's a continuous tension between the old and the new. Do you innovate or do you keep it always the same? Come join. And it's possible. If it's a vibrant living tradition, then of course it's possible to innovate and make things new again. You know, this music is old, but we're not museum curators. You know,
right.
It's an active thing. So we're going to play a jig and a reel. And the jig is called the Rolling Waves, and the reel.
Shouldn't you introduce the?
This was Julia Twasburn from Berlin.
Hi.
Hi.
And the reel is from New York. This one's dead. I'll I'll just tune to you.
No, just please use it.
From a fiddle player called Martin Wynn. Can you be...
How important is it to play in tune?
Very important. My tuner must have been wrongly calibrated. It was perfectly in tune with itself, but totally sharp. Okay. Good. Okay.
1, 2.
Beautiful, man.
And the
And
class.
I think our audience just witnessed why I can listen to your music for hours at a time. Guys, let me do just quick housekeeping. Underneath the, if you're watching, if you're streaming live on YouTube, there's a check-in. There's a linked check-in. We're going to announce a winner in a minute or so. So check in and you could win $100 gift card. There's also a tip jar. Okay. And, if you can afford a tip, whatever, do that. If you can't, at the very least, click that thumbs up underneath the video to help show your love, spread the love. It's very, very much appreciated. Also, you have 2 courses.
That's right.
Seth, can you show the first one? We don't get to see each other as much as we like to because you're touring the world, but talk about the 2 different courses, if you would, while we show them on the screen.
Yeah, well, the first one was a kind of general picture of Celtic guitar, as I see it. It's all fingerstyle, from what I remember. And there are a bunch of techniques and concepts in the first part of the course. The input from TrueFire putting this together was fantastic. You gave me this framework to work with, and I just had to fill in the gaps between the ideas. So the first half of the course is covers various ideas like techniques with triplets, that kind of thing, ornamentation, different tunings. This is Dadgad tuning, which goes all the way back to 1965, the same as me. Davy Graham from the UK invented this new way of tuning the guitar, which became kind of standard in Celtic music. Less so now, thankfully. It became a little bit samey after a while. But I talk about this tuning and different ways of tuning the guitar to approach Celtic music. And then the other half of the course is 6 pieces that are taken very gently and then
they
broken
put
down.
all that stuff to work. The lesson there were 2 lessons that I really dug in. It's the Celtic Journey, man. It's the name of that course. You did a lesson on jig time.
Yeah.
And then you did a lesson on the Celtic mode. I love those 2 lessons.
The Celtic mode. David was talking about modes with more authority than I have to say. In Celtic music, the kind of dominant mode, particularly in Scottish music, is the Mixolydian, the 5th, which is a flat 7. And it's all to do with bagpipes. Highland bagpipes, you cannot play the normal 7 in the scale. It's always flat. It's always flattened. So that mode, that Mixolydian mode, is kind of folded into the fabric of Celtic music. So that's what I was talking about there.
Yeah, love it.
And you'll find it comes through in the songs as well as the tunes.
Yeah.
But it all goes back to bagpipes.
And talk just a little bit about jig time.
Yeah, it's the big distinction in Celtic dance music, certainly in Scotland and Ireland. Jigs and reels. It's all about jigs and reels. Jig rhythm is 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. And reel rhythm is 4/4. So you heard that the last piece we played there was that transition. The first tune is the distinction could be made in terms of British football teams. Jig rhythm goes Liverpool, Everton, Liverpool, Everton, right? Okay. So the first tune, you could say Liverpool, Everton, Liverpool, Everton. So that's a jig. 6/8, and then the reel is in 4/4. So when I took over the melody, there's the 1. So that's a reel. That's in 4/4. We're going to play a tune. Should we play another tune?
Absolutely.
This is we're talking about stretching boundaries and playing outside of your comfort zone. We're going to play a tune from Greece. This is one of the other wonderful things about playing music. It takes you all over the world, and I found myself years ago in Melbourne, in a Greek neighborhood a Greek-Scottish neighborhood in Melbourne, so you can imagine what that's like. And there's a wonderful band there called Aponimi Compania, And I just fell in love with their music and learned a bunch of tunes from them. And they play lots of Celtic music as well. Interestingly enough, the national Greek instrument, of course, is the bouzouki. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is the only PRS bouzouki in existence.
No kidding.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
look. It looked completely normal until you count the strings.
Oh yeah.
This is an 8-string.
Wow.
So I recorded this tune originally on that instrument.
How is that tuned?
It's tuned G-D-A-D. Here's the lovely thing. I asked Paul if he could build this.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, sure, when do you need it? And of course, it turned up 2 days early. And it was kind of last minute. And he asked, what is it you require? I said, it's an 8-string. Just think of it as a gigantic mandolin.
Uh-huh.
Tuned how? That's G-D-A-D. So mandolin tuning would be there.
Yeah.
This is an octave lower, but with the top string down at D. So this is Celtic bouzouki tuning, which has been around since the early 70s. But I thought it was great because they didn't really know what this instrument is, or where it sits within the tradition. But they built one anyway, and it's phenomenal.
Really.
It's just I've played, and I don't play a huge amount, but anytime I pull it out in a session, somebody goes, "What on earth is that? Where can I get one?"
I know. Have you recorded anything with that?
Yeah, it's I made an album with Beppe Gambetta, the wonderful flat picker from Italy.
Yes.
And the tune we're going to play right now, I played on that, the PRS bouzouki. It's a wonderful machine.
Awesome.
Let's bring
Stage
Julia
is
back.
yours.
Okay, so this is a tune. We talked about jigs and reels. This is an entirely different rhythm. This is a kopanica. A kopanica is an 11/16.
11/16.
They have time signatures that look like wrench sizes.
Now that's transcendental, right?
That is, it's actually much easier than you'd think. It just goes 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2. Right. So there's a long beat in the middle. One bum bad bum 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 bad bum bum. This is typical Greek, Bulgarian, Macedonian dance music.
there. Love it.
So, Mustambeko. Yeah, I have to take that back. Okay. Cool. 1 2 3 and 1 2.
fantastic,
guys.
man. I love that. It's nice to have a fellow Celtic guitar player in the house, huh?
A German Celt.
German Celt.
They're Celts from Berlin.
You know, PRS gave us a T60E.
Right.
Have you played one of those? Yeah, that's what.
Yeah,
we're giving
only in
away
the
this month.
factory. We drove down. Actually, we drove from here, from Canada down to Stevensville, Maryland, to visit Paul and to introduce him to Julia. And he had that guitar waiting for her there, which was so
Really?
And we filmed those couple of videos, and I did a couple of demo videos on the new SE acoustics, and they're phenomenal guitars. The value for money that those represent is just incredible.
I know. We went and played one at. We don't have one in the studio yet, but we went to. We have a local dealer, and we played one. We were blown away.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they gave us one of those. They gave us an electric guitar. They gave us an amp. And hey, Seth or Tommy, can you show that landing page again? People are asking how they can win one. All you have to do is come visit this PRS TrueFire thing anytime this month. Just by showing up, you can, you get entries, and no purchase necessary, no monkey business, and there's a bunch of fun, cool things that you can do to earn additional entries. So it's all on that page. I'm sure someone will post a link in the chat. The other thing that I wanted us to talk about is, so you were touring in our neck of the woods, and we were lucky enough to get a day or two of your time to put the second course together.
Right.
And I remember, the first course, the Celtic Journeyman, it's a master class. It's
Right.
If you really want a deep dive on how Tony thinks and approaches playing his music, that's your master class. But remember, I asked you, hey, could you dumb it down just a little bit for those of us that would like to start to learn how to play? And you gave us the Celtic Songbook. Talk a little bit about that.
So yeah, the second course, similar in structure. There's a bunch of concepts that are explored in detail, and then a bunch of performance studies, études, I think was the term. And it's a gentler version of the first one. The tunes are a little bit more approachable, and I think I tried to pick tunes that don't rely quite so heavily on specialized techniques.
Right.
There's certain little twists and turns that come naturally to me because I've been listening to this music since I was yay big.
Yeah.
And it helps that I also started on fiddle. This is not my first instrument. I was absolutely dreadful as a fiddle player, but I had a grasp of how to ornament the tunes. All that kind of stuff. So that all features very heavily in the first course, and the second course is not quite so dependent on specialized techniques. So it's much more approachable.
Right. It definitely gets you up and running, and I think it's I really think it's an important course because it sort of keeps this genre alive.
Yeah.
And gives people a stepping stone, if you will, to this incredible music.
It's a wonderful time to be playing Celtic music.
Oh man, it is. It's beautiful.
I was watching a show recently about one of my heroes who passed away a couple of years ago, Liam O'Flynn, who played the Irish bagpipes, a very very different instrument. And when Liam he was drawn to this instrument when he was a child. But at that time, this is Ireland's only unique national instrument. And at that time, the number of players among the 3 million people in Ireland were 20.
Really?
It was almost gone.
Wow.
And now there are, now Peabody in the Uilleann Piper Society, there are 1,500 members in Ireland. And there are branches all over the world. And that story... It's the same in the language. More people are speaking Irish. More people are speaking Scots Gaelic. If you go to Europe, the Celtic tradition in Brittany and France is very vibrant, very alive, and the same in Galicia in Spain. So the Celts aren't just in Ireland, you know. And
Yeah, so
the music's
define. I
very much
remember
alive.
you did this in the course or in an interview maybe.
Yeah.
What is Celtic music? How do you define that?
God, it's the traditional music of the Celtic people, and the Celts were one of the historic tribes in Europe. You know, Goths and Visigoths and Saxons and the Romans and the Vikings. The Celts were one of those. Their origins are much further east, but over the course of antiquity, the Celts have got pushed further and further west, and now they're on the western extremities of Europe. Scotland, Ireland, Cornwall in England is a Celtic region. Brittany was in northwest France, the jaggy, rugged bit of France. That's the Celtic bit. And the northwest coast of Spain. You know, when I was a kid, everyone went on holiday to Spain, but we were talking about Barcelona during David's thing. People went to that coast. But if you go to the opposite coast, that's a Celtic part of Spain, Galicia, and next door Asturias. And they're very rugged maritime places. Usually, you're never in the Celtic world. You're never far from the sea, and you're battered senseless by the Atlantic Ocean. And it's a hard place to eke out a living. Whether you're talking about the Western Isles of Scotland or the north coast of Spain, it's a hard place to live. And I kind of got fed up 20 odd years ago, starting to play professionally, that Celtic music was marketed as this soporific, easy listening,
Right.
new age, mystical, lots of dry
Right.
ice stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's not that at all. It's quite the opposite. This
It is.
music comes from harsh conditions and difficult lives and all the emotions that go into that, you know,
Oh,
grief
yeah.
and love.
It's
and all
very
that stuff.
vibrant music, you know.
Of course,
very
yeah. Yeah.
evocative.
Hugely emotional. But you know, for example, if you go along the coast of Spain, it's certainly not unique to Celtic music. You know, Galicia is the top left-hand corner. Next door is Asturias. These are both Celtic. Next door to that is Cantabria, Santander, which is not. And next door to that is the Basque Country. And the music is different, but it's still incredibly vibrant. And it's alive, and there are no walls, you know, and the people mix and mingle beautifully. Like, you know, there's loads of bands in Scotland playing Breton tunes. The Breton bands are playing Irish tunes and so on. So there's all this cross-fertilization
Yeah, well,
within and beyond the Celtic world.
you know, you're like a busy bee pollinating this music all around the world, and
Trying to.
we love you for that, as do your fans. You've got a ton of fans on here shouting out.
Excellent.
We have time for one more tune, if you be so kind.
Yeah. Should we do another duet? Well, let's talk about these boundaries. Julia's background is in classical music, and her interests beyond Celtic music are in jazz.
Ooh,
And we were,
love it.
which is a kind of steep learning curve for me, I'll tell you.
Uh-huh.
So we were working on a tune called Manhã de Carnaval, Brazilian, very well known jazz tune. And Julia said, well, would there be a traditional Irish tune that has a similar chord structure? And I thought about it for a nanosecond and said, no, she must be joking. This is Brazilian jazz. But she found one. And it turns out it's a tune that I'd known for thousands of years, called The Musical Priest.
Okay.
It's a really old Irish reel, but it just happens to sit very nicely on top of this chord sequence that was written for a Brazilian movie in the 50s. So, like I say, there are no walls.
No, that's for sure. Julia, where do you go when you go off camera?
We have six.
To my chickens.
We have 6 chickens in the garden.
You have chickens? That's
we have
great.
chickens. She makes bread.
Uh-huh.
We have 6 chickens. So the ideal meal is it's eggs on toast.
Uh-huh.
From
Love it.
homemade chickens and homemade eggs.
Love it.
Homemade chicken.
So let's play Mania de Carnaval and the musical priest. Okay. Yes, Didario strings, if anyone's asking.
Oh, they always ask. What gauge?
Yeah, 13 to 56.
All right, there you go. We got that out of the way.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Just beautiful, guys.
Thank you.
Have you recorded that yet?
Yeah, we recorded it live in Berlin, Julia's hometown, on her birthday.
No kidding.
We recorded 3 gigs there, Berlin, Dresden, and one close to Stuttgart, and
Cool.
threw it together. So there's a live album, yeah.
So one of our viewers just nailed the next project we do together,
What's that
which is
gonna
a
be?
duo chorus with the two of you.
How do you put these arrangements together?
Oh, whatever, get you both. We did this project with Tommy, and John Knowles, Tommy Emmanuel and John
Lovely.
Knowles, kind of on duo guitar. I think it would be great to get both of you in the studio, put
Sure.
together, some kind of performance studies and talk about, the art of playing with another guitar player who does
Right,
what,
for
when,
sure. It's that'd be a great thing to do. It's something that interested me from the get-go, and it's lovely to have a duo like this where it's not just one Celtic guy with another Celtic guy.
Right.
It's,
I love this.
her background is totally different, and so like in the course of a concert, and Julia's also
Not a guitarist.
she's not a guitarist. She is a guitarist. She's not just a guitarist. She's a singer and violinist.
Well, we can do a
So-
little of that too. We've been doing a lot of new and cool we've been stretching a bit and very, it's going over really well.
Fantastic.
Tony, we
Right.
love you, man. We miss you. Julia, we now love you too.
Thank you.
And please work us into your schedule
Oh, we'd love to
when
come
we
back.
get out and about again. Can't thank you enough for spending this time and playing, just sharing your music with us.
Thank you.
And I think when you get a chance to go and read the chat thread, you'll see that I am one of many people who feel that way. So thank you guys so much. Really
Thank you,
appreciate
and
it.
thanks
thank
to
you.
everyone for listening.
We'll speak soon and get us on your schedule.
Yes, sir.
All right, man.
Cheers,
See ya.
Brad. Look after yourself.
Okay, you too. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today and for all the kind words. Seth and Allie and Zach and Shane and Frank and all the people behind the scenes here, switching, moderating, making this happen, setting these things up. And most of all, thank you so much to Tony McManus, Corey Congilio, and David Grissom. See you next time.
Cheers, Brad.